Hello everyone, I Ridhiviraj and your Parmanu Mitra is once again back on the occasion of World Nuclear Energy Day. As this year the theme is a chain reaction. So by expanding our chain, we have a very great and special person with us, Mr. Tirthankar Goyal. He's going to tell about some important aspect about the India's nuclear relations with other countries and his experience in nuclear industries. But before, we will going to see how the World Nuclear Energy Day is celebrated. On the initiative of Jim Scherer, Sir, the World Nuclear Energy Day has been started. First, it is celebrated on 2nd on December 2022. And this day has been precisely selected because on 2nd on December, the self-sustaining chain reaction Fermi's first Chicago pile becomes critical. And also, first commercial-sized reactor in Shippingport, Pennsylvania also went critical in 1957. As I am Parmanu Mitra and making videos about telling how the importance of nuclear energy to the societies. And we know that how the Dr. Homi J. Bhabha sir has started the three-stage India's nuclear program. And we know that how atoms are important to us as we use them for not only of creating the energy which is cleaner as compared to the electricity which is produced by coal, but it also helps in other industries like environment, in space explorations, in mining, food. For food irradiations we use gamma irradiations. So I would like to now introduce Mr. Tirthankar Goyal sir, who has created Think Global Consultancy and one few companies having expertise in nuclear domain and working in the framework of India-France collaboration to take it to new heights. Though his deep interactions with nuclear community in India and France particularly, Department of Atomic Energy, NPCIL, India government, Prime Minister Office, Finance Ministry, and other India and French government stakeholders. He was hired by AREVA, number one nuclear power industry in world, on expertise basis based in Paris, France, and negotiated with Prime Minister Office of India for setting up first 10,000 megawatt nuclear power station with vision of to solve electricity gap in India. Mr. Goyal is alumni of IIM Bangalore and NIT Kurukshetra, can speak many Indian languages besides English, French, Japanese, and German. He is deeply involved in India nuclear program, though his participation to presentation of French state-of-art 16550 megawatts EPR technology in India through AREVA. Further, he has deep understanding of the requirement of complex nuclear project, his relationship with distinguished Indian scientists, knowledge of process and procedures, particularly classifications, legal safety in framework of complex nuclear requirements in India as well as in France. He is also instrumentation in localization of major components in manufacturing, engineering activities, etc., in line with requirement of Indian government along with best utilization of his expertise in conventional engineering and associated systems, which are complementary to India's nuclear experiments. His expertise is successful implementations of first of its kind project in India, starting from government relations, regulatory affairs, strategy business development, project management, capital investments, offsets and transfer of technology for global companies like Alstom, AREVA, and Siemens. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing some your valuable time with us. We have some few questions for you, sir. So shall we start our questionnaire and interview with you, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So, sir, as we know, you are working with many nuclear projects. So can you tell me the history of Jaitapur Nuclear Power Project, sir?
First of all, a very happy World Nuclear Day to our viewers.
Yes.
Jaitapur Nuclear Power Project is a proposed nuclear power plant in India. If built, it would be the largest nuclear power generating station in the world by net generating capacity at 9,900 megawatt. The power project is proposed by a Nuclear Power Corporation of India and would be built at Vadhavan village of Ratnagiri district in Maharashtra. On 6th December 2010, agreement was signed for the construction of a first set of two third-generating European pressurized reactor and the supply of nuclear fuel for 25 years in the presence of then French President Nicolas Sarkozy and Indian Prime Minister. Along with the French state-controlled nuclear engineering company AREVA SA, where I worked and participated and witnessed the ceremony, being part of the offer team, responsible for relationship with Indian government, PMO, Finance Ministry, NPCIL, DAE, ARV, and Indian state-owned nuclear power operator, Nuclear Power Corporation of India. So they signed the agreement around $9.3 billion. So this is a general framework agreement, which was signed along with the agreement of protection of confidentiality of technical data and information related to Nuclear Power Corporation in the peaceful use of nuclear energy. The plant's construction was expected to be start in late 2018. So this is a very brief summary of the project for our viewers.
Yes, sir. Sir, tell us some about the project description, sir, and what are the challenges you face when you are working on this project, sir?
I think, Riddhi, you asked two questions in one question. So let's start with the project description. So it's proposed to construct 6 EPR designed and developed by Parmanu, former AREVA, former company, a name of AREVA of France, each of 1650 megawatt, thus totaling to 9,900 megawatt. Estimated cost of the project was around 1,000 billion Indian rupees. Recently, a new agreement was signed between EDF and NPCIL in March 2018. The cost of the building of the plant is around 20 crore per megawatt electrical power compared with 5 crore per megawatt electrical power for a coal power station. Generally, nuclear power plants feature significantly higher investment cost while day-to-day operating cost is lower compared to the combusting plants. Referring from going into the detail, the French government has asserted in the past that the cost of the electricity would be below 4 rupees per kilowatt hour, which is in line with the cost of the production by the coal power station. Now, important thing in this project is the financial scheme. So for that financial part, a consortium of French financial institute will finance this project as a loan. Both French and Indian government will give sovereign guarantee for this loan. The extent of guarantee will depend on what portion of the cost the French creditor will cover. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development will govern the interest rate and other terms of agreement. So all these interest terms, other terms, sovereign guarantee are still under the discussion. So it is one of the several nuclear power projects being undertaken in the thin strip of the coast of Raigad, Ratnagiri, and Sindhugarh district. The prospect of nuclear power generation in India received a boost after Indo-US civilian nuclear agreement became operational in October 2008. India has signed similar agreement with other countries like US and Russia, to name a few. Now, since you ask in the question about the different challenges being faced in the project, so primarily the biggest challenge is the nuclear liability clause. So according to the French government, there is a lack of clarity on the civil liability for Nuclear Damage Bill 2010, passed in Indian Parliament in August 2010. So this is the major hurdle in the finalizing the deal. So what does it mean? It means that the nuclear liability for Nuclear Damage Bill 2010 has a clause that deals with the legal binding of the culpable groups in case of a nuclear accident. It allows only the operator, which is NPCIL, to sue the manufacturers and the supplier. Victims will not be able to sue anyone. In reality, no one will be considered legally liable because the resource taken by the operated will yield only 15 billion Indian rupees.
Hmm.
I would also like to mention how these laws are being run in the different countries. Let's take an example of USA. So
Okay.
USA has a law on liability-related issues for all military, non-military nuclear facility constructed in US before 2026, named Price-Anderson Nuclear Industries Indemnity Act. So this act established a no-fault insurance type scheme in which the first $10 billion is industry funded as described in the act. Any claim above 10 billion would be covered by the federal government.
Okay.
Now, apart from this nuclear liability clause, there are other debate going on in the state government as well as the central level and the other stakeholders. So one of the debate going on the nuclear power project at Jaitapur, the fundamental thing is about the environment effect of the nuclear energy and geological issues. So it has been raised by the anti-nuclear activities of India against the project, even though the government of Maharashtra state completed land acquisition in January 2010. Only around 33 villages out of 2,500 villages have accepted compensation check as on 2010, and then other villagers, they have accepted the compensation. A public hearing on the environment impact assessment report prepared by the NERI was conducted by Maharashtra Pollution Control Board on the behalf of Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India. A PIL, a public litigation, interest litigation, has also been filed against the government civil nuclear program at the Apex Supreme Court. The PIL specifically asked for the staying of all proposed nuclear power plant till satisfactory safety measure and cost benefit analyses are completed by an independent agency.
Okay.
So these are some of the challenges, but if you there's another challenge there is about Jaitapur is a seismic sensitive area. The danger of an earthquake has been foremost on in the mind of the people. And according to the earthquake hazard zoning of India, Jaitapur comes under zone 3.
Okay.
This zone is called the moderate risk zone and covers liable to MSK 8. However, as per the feasibility report, it turns out to be very different. So there is no risk in terms of the earthquake there. The second, one of the another challenges, it's not clear where the nuclear waste from the site will be shipped for recycling or removed for disposal. The plant is estimated to generate 300 tons of used nuclear fuel each year. The volume of a 2.5 meter sided cube owning to the generation 3 reactors, as they are having a higher fuel efficiency than the previous generation 2 design. The smaller amount of used nuclear fuel from an EPR will contain 4 times as much fission products by volume and other material like iodine, KCM extra, compared to the presently operating generation 2 pressurized water reactors.
Okay.
Another issue is, since the plant will use the seawater for the cooling and then release warm water in the Arabian Sea, fishermen in around the Jaitapur village, they have a fear about the destruction of fisheries in the nearby sea, as the plant would be taking the seawater for the cooling of the nuclear power system. Yes. However, as per the independent report and the feasibility, there's a different report to counter this myth. So on this very nuclear day, so we talk about the challenges, the anti-nuclear stand, but there is a big supporter of the big proponents are advocating the nuclear, just the Jaitapur nuclear project at site as safe and environmentally benign and an economically viable source of electricity to meet the increasing electricity needs of India. So they argue that the nuclear power is a sustainable energy source that reduces carbon emission and increasing energy security by decreasing India's dependence on foreign oil. The promoter of Jata project is NPCIL. It's a public sector enterprise under the administrative control of the Department of Atomic Energy. And so they have conducted, they are also in the favor of this project.
Okay.
So I know on this World Nuclear Day, the environmentalists will not be very happy with this decision. But India cannot attain high growth rate and sustain the energy needs of a 1.3 billion population with the help of other renewable energy source like solar, wind, biogas, and other form of energy.
Yes, sir.
So I think it is paradoxical that environmentalists are against the nuclear energy. And let's take also the world viewpoint and where the India stand in terms of the nuclear energy. So,
Yes, sir.
India is sixth in rank after US, France, Japan, and who have 20 or more nuclear power station project is the best as is fulfilled the technical and scientific requirements for the nuclear power plant.
Yes,
and in addition, for the benefit of the local people, the NPCIL has already declared that 1.5 to 2% of the net profit from Jaitapur plant would be spent in the area only. Development project will be decided by the local people, and NPCIL will provide the fund to ensure development of these areas.
Okay.
So I hope on this World Nuclear Day I am able to answer the challenges and the opportunity. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, what kind of investment is coming in, and when do you think it will be up and running, sir, for India?
So first of all, let's take with the current status of the project and what kind of an investment are anticipated in project. So the foremost, the center has already accorded in principle approval for setting up 6 nuclear power station of 1650 megawatt in technical collaboration with France as an umbrella agreement signed with France in 2008.
Yes, sir.
NPCIL will be responsible for the construction and commissioning of the units as well as obtaining all necessary permits and consent in India as the owner and the future operator of the plant. This includes certification of the EPR technology by the Indian regulator. So this was about the past. So in the last 1 or 2 years, in April 2021, EDF, on the behalf of the government of France, submitted a binding techno-commercial offer to NPCIL, setting out the condition under which the project would be taken forward as part of the long-term partnership between the French and the Indian nuclear industry, and enabling discussion aiming at reaching at a binding framework agreement in the coming months. This year, a high-level team from Paris visited India, and they had a detailed discussion with the NPCIL, DAE, AERB, and the Indian government. So EDF would provide the technology, but would not be an investor. So that's an important point to note. And NPCIL would be in charge of the construction. So now, asking about your question, what kind of an investment is coming in? I think I cannot answer the question when right now. It's an ongoing discussion. In addition, as far as the investment are concerned, I can definitely say they are in line with the Make of India and Skill India initiative by the government of India under the Modi government.
Yes, sir.
For the Indian industry and for the benefit of the industrial scheme for the project, EDF and their partner aim to encourage the active involvement of India's industrial sector. So in this spirit, I think EDF is deploying a strategy based on in-depth work to identify Indian companies that can be selected as a supplier. So as per my understanding, some 200 Indian companies have already been pre-qualified.
Okay.
Feasibility study conducted by EDF, French I2EN, which is the International Institute of Nuclear Energy, and Indian Institute VJTI, I think. Viramati Jijabhai Technological Institute for the establishment of the Center of Excellence in India to train Indian engineers and technicians who could work on this project as well as for the future projects.
Okay. So the next question is, way forward for 10,000 megawatt nuclear project. What are your ideas related to that, sir?
I think the time is very right, if you ask me personally. We are in December 2022, and what I heard from various stakeholders like the French government, Indian government, there's a visit of the French President Emmanuel Macron early next year, which is expected to give a renewed push to the construction of this 6 nuclear power reactors in Maharashtra.
Okay.
Last month, there was a visit of the French minister, Madame Crisula, Along with her, she was accompanied by a high-level French delegation who called on Minister for Atomic Energy, Mr. Jitendra Singh, to talk on Indo-French collaboration in nuclear energy and discuss ways to speed up the setting of the 6 nuclear reactors at the Jaitapur site.
Okay.
What I understood from my sources, they indicated that all these technical, financial, and the civil nuclear liability issue would be resolved at the earliest by both sides and well before the scheduled visit of the French President Macron in early 2023. In addition to that, in the meeting, both sides affirmed, India and France, the commitment to the success of the strategic Jaitapur EPR project for access to reliable, affordable, and low carbon energy, and agree to sort out the pending issues at the earliest. And in my earlier remark, I mentioned about the financial mechanism, which is an important challenge. So what I understood, there's a visit of the French finance minister, Mr. Bruno Le Maire, which is scheduled to visit somewhere in December.
Okay. Okay, so the one last question we have is, as you work with the highest office, like what are the insights and being connected with the highest office, the PMO officer? What was your experience, and you would like to share with us?
I can definitely share about the insights. I think insights and the way forward. I mean, the way forward, first of all, is to start the project rather than sorting out all 100% technical, commercial, legal, and contractual issues. Start working. That's the foremost thing. So it will help in trust building and help in developing the confidence between the Indian team and the French team and various stakeholders at Indian and France side. Sort it at the earliest, the key issues like industrial scheme, division of responsibility, financial mechanism, reference plant, localization, transfer of technology, civil nuclear liability clause, to name a few. Also, I think my insight could be keeping in mind the culture gap between India and France and India and Europe. Some local may be hired to bridge the gap. Interesting development happened just last month in November. What I understood on that French President Emmanuel Macron met Indian Prime Minister on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Bali and discussed ways to strengthen ties, boost sustainable growth, and increase the economic cooperation. So they had over lunch, they had a very fruitful deliberation on various subjects, including civil nuclear cooperation, apart from trade and investment. So the Indian Prime Minister himself discussed directly with the French President, and I'm sure in PMO and in the French President office, they would be passing the vision of the Indian Prime Minister and the French President. So I hope that, as I indicated, President Macron is expected to visit in early 2023.
Okay. Yes,
will get the boost and maybe wait for some good announcement, if I understood well.
Okay. Sure, sir. It will be a very grateful thing and a great increase in the India's development also if we initiate these types of nuclear programs and relations with other countries. Sir, some of your final words on World Nuclear Energy Day you want to give to our audience, sir?
I think nuclear energy is, according to me, as I mentioned during my few questions and remarks, it is carbon free. It is best for the India needs, in keeping in mind the huge energy requirement which is there. So it is according to me, the nuclear power on a nuclear day. It's a very sustainable energy source that reduces carbon emissions, increase energy security. And for India perspective, I think India should go for this project because there's a very India is importing most of its oil from outside India, and there's a huge dependence on India on this foreign oil. So by going for this project, India is meeting the demand, and you must have seen, I mean, a very interesting thing in the past, the European countries were against the nuclear energy. But after keeping in mind the geopolitics, Ukraine-Russia war, they are thinking very deeply to go to the nuclear energy. If I understood well, in France, in the past, they had decided not to go for this nuclear program, but they have restarted all their program. So if you just Google it, let's say in the Czechoslovakia, they have, I think some time back, they have, or recently they have signed an agreement with EDF for their energy needs. So on this World Nuclear Day, I think my message is go for that.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. And that will be a very great opportunity, sir. So by the end of this, sir, happy World Nuclear Energy Day to you also. And thank you for sparing some of your valuable time to us and giving some important informations about India nuclear relations.